Welcome to MiningIR exclusive interview with Transition Metals. With us today, we have co-founders Scott McLean and Greg Collins, and we are going to give our investors a little bit of insight into what Transition Metals is up to. Thank you both for joining us.
Great to be here, Alvaro.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah. Scott, to start, I'd like to start with you. Could you provide a little bit of insight into Transition Metals' financial health? What's the cash runway look like? And talk to us a little bit about the earnings per share, which is kind of rare in this space.
Sure, that's a good question. Transition Metals is always in reasonably good fiscal balance. We don't have a lot of expenses, and as a result, our cash doesn't need to be that strong. However, we still have about 1.3 million in cash. We hold about 4 million in marketable securities, and that's one way we're able to kind of manage the company in a tough market. Is being able to take liquidate certain securities from time to time. Got a good bundle of projects and that we value at about 10 million, and even royalties that we also value at about 1.5 million. So the company is fiscally strong. In terms of a runway, if we really add things up, our monthly burn is about 50,000 a month. If we don't have partners helping us out with that, that's the corporation bears that. So we'll give your listeners a little bit of idea how far our runway goes. However, we are able to bring more cash into the company through the sale of securities, etc. In terms of earnings per share, that's an interesting question. Most junior companies don't have earnings. We do have earnings from time to time, and we do have a positive earnings per share value from generally each year. And that comes from bringing income into the company through the sale of marketable securities and royalties, and through doing option deals with other companies on our projects. So it's an interesting model in terms of a business model, and it does keep us in a rather healthy fiscal state.
That's excellent. And it sounds like it's a great model to keep from the shareholder being diluted.
Well, that's one of the principles. There's, in any of these companies, you've got to sell something. You either sell equity in the company or you sell interest in the assets. And we do a bit of both. We have a bit of a hybrid model where we raise money, sell equity from time to time to advance certain projects, make them more marketable, and are able to attract partners to them to help support the risk, but also take them take off some of the risk and advance the projects. So in that manner, our shareholders' equity dilution is generally low. In fact, we've been in business since 2009, and we have about 67 million shares outstanding. So we've been really good at managing that capital structure through the years.
Excellent. Greg, with your extensive geological engineering background, could you share a little bit of insight into the specific metals that Transition Metals is focused on, and what catalysts or exploration developments are on the horizon that investors should be aware of?
Well, when we named the company many years ago, the company name Transition Metals was kind of intended to keep our scope kind of broad. And if you're familiar with the periodic table, the Transition Metals sort of section of that pretty much covers everything from base metals to precious metals and gold. But our focus is primarily, we've got a lot of experience, and we put a lot of effort into, commodities like nickel, copper, platinum group elements, as well as precious metals. But in terms of our focus these days, with energy metals and things like that, we apply our expertise. And I think we've got two very interesting projects that we've been putting a lot of effort in. One that we call Maud Lake is a interesting nickel copper project in an overlooked area in northwestern Ontario, up near Scriber, which was traditionally known for hosting copper zinc deposits. And our work there has highlighted a very large gabbroic intrusion that hosts very excitingly high tenor nickel and copper sulfides. And we've been working on this project over the last couple of years, and we're pretty encouraged with what we're seeing. Last year, we worked up and we did some drilling on the project and intersected about 20 meters of 0.3 nickel, 0.3 copper with some narrow intervals about 4 meters of well, about double that, 0.6 nickel, 0.6 copper, with some PGMs and cobalt. But we followed up that drilling with some borehole geophysical survey equipment, and that is sort of detecting kind of the signature associated with that mineralization. And what the survey detected is like that intersection seems to be just on the edge of something bigger, and that's what's got us kind of excited. We're looking at going back this fall and seeing if we can continue to follow up those promising indications to find, hopefully, extensions of that system, higher grade, further define the size of it. So that's that one's pretty interesting. And then, on the other side of the country, we're really excited. We've got a project that's called Pike Warden, and Pike Warden's in the Yukon. It's south of Whitehorse. The Yukon right now is just white hot these days, with a number of very exciting discovery stories going out there. And we partnered with a young Yukon-based geologist around a set of new discoveries he had been working on in the last 2 years. And we've discovered over 10 new polymetallic showings. So in this very large property, we're seeing new indications of gold and silver, but also copper, moly, molybdenum, lead. And this project is really intriguing because it sits outside the margins of this giant collapsed volcanic crater that kind of sits in the border area between Yukon, BC, and Alaska. And just an overlooked area we've gotten into, and we've been having a lot of success. But we think this particular project has potential, like many of the great Cordilleran deposits, to host very large scale epithermal and perhaps porphyry mineralization. So we've been progressing on that. We actually got crews out there just finishing up some field work.
That's very exciting. Very exciting. Going back to the financial components, Scott, right now, with the fluctuations that we're seeing in metal prices, decarbonization being a new driver, it seems, in the industry as well. What are you doing at Transition Metals to mitigate risk, both for yourselves, obviously, as miners, and for the shareholders for Transition Metals?
Well, we're looking at pretty rocky times, very uncertain times, I guess. One of the things that, if I look at those financial charts and the commodities chart, and take a look at how that we've gone through a nice bull run in the commodities and really had a really lazy, unpredictable market, and often very illiquid market. And I think a lot of our peer companies are starting to feel that pressure of not being able to kind of raise money in a good financing market, but not even being able to really get much energy into their stock on a liquidity issue. So it's trying times, right? And us, Greg and I, sitting here trying to predict the future has been difficult through the years, at least over the last few years. What really is exciting is that we have had some strengthening of the commodity prices. Although we're seeing them slack off a little bit over the last few weeks, the fundamentals are there, with the electrification of society and so on going forward, and the demand on certain commodities that we're quite good at looking for and quite good at discovering. We're pretty excited about the mining industry in the future. What we do need to catch up is the interest in the market, and it's been lazy for us, and that's been a struggle for us, for sure. So your question was really around risk and how do we mitigate some of those risks of the unknown in the future. And I would say a couple of things that may stand out for Transition is that we're not reliant on a single commodity, generally speaking. We have over 20 projects across Canada. We have a number of gold projects. We have copper projects. We have tungsten projects. We have nickel, copper, PGE projects, and we're able to kind of adjust our focus as need be, and still try and mitigate that commodity risk to some level. The market risk is tougher for us. What we do have that sort of hedges us or buffers us a little bit against that is we have real assets, real hard valued assets that include cash, and we try and keep that cash topped up over $1 million. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but to us that's quite quite a manageable amount of money to keep the company moving forward. And we have a number of other assets that are marketable that we can dispose of or liquidate over time. So those would be things like marketable securities, good projects, and royalties, for example. So overall, we do see turbulent times. We have gone through turbulent times. We founded this company shortly after the global meltdown and really haven't had a real significant swing that we were able to take advantage of. But we've been able to manage through this very, very well, and that's by keeping a nice balanced balance sheet and a balanced set of commodities, a balanced set of assets that we can employ as we need to see fit.
Absolutely, I can see how the value of having if you're working on 20 different projects, that diversity alone for a shareholder is a great risk mitigator just in and of itself, without mentioning the other vehicles that you have. That's amazing.
Our investors aren't always in the play for risk mitigation, right? You get into these plays for high risk, high reward kind of plays. So we try and balance that by having a bit of a hybrid model where we are injecting, as Greg just mentioned. We've been out drilling at Maud Lake. We've been out drilling at Pike Warden. We're advancing those projects, and we have the ability to keep those shouldered underneath in the company if we choose to. So it's a nice model to have, where you have flexibility, lots of optionality, and able to put money into projects that you think that the market would like to see.
That's great, and you've also built it up in lean times, as you mentioned. When we've had quite a long sideways period after that drop. So
the stock price doesn't really belie the amount of kind of value I think we've generated within the company. But I mean, you need probably better markets to fully realize all of that upside.
And it seems that it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. It wants to. Greg, give me an idea of the depth, a little bit of the team experience. I mean, that speaks to risk mitigation, that in and of itself, especially with the team that you guys have. Can you give us some highlights of some notable past successes, accomplishments that the exploration team and the management team at Transition Metals have had?
Certainly, yeah. Like I do think our team is interesting. It's unique. We've been together for a number of years, but we truly do have a depth of experience in the mining industry to kind of consider and think about those trends when it comes to commodities and stuff like that, and specific expertise that kind of is complementary amongst the group to help us identify, some good new opportunities. But in terms of success, I don't know, we're maybe not the best at tooting our horn, but I mean, some in the group, Scott in particular, has received, probably some of the highest awards. Bill Dennis Award from PDAC through his work in the discovery of Nickel Rim deposit down in Sudbury. The company itself was given the Discoverer of the Year award in Northwestern Ontario, the Bertie Schneider Award, for its discovery of the Sunday Lake deposit. But there's a lot of stuff that you don't get awards for, but I'm particularly proud of our team's ability. We, through work in Ontario, we have discovered a completely new large-scale gold system that underlies the historical cobalt camp in silver in Goganda, which I think is quite an achievement. Really interesting. It's we're going to see how that develops as years progress, and identifying the potential for a completely new sedimentary copper belt in the central part of Saskatchewan are things that we've been involved with over the last few years. But what I would say is we're a very passionate group, very good at finding new opportunities, and that's really what we stay focused on, really through thick and thin. Whether the markets are good or bad, that's our skill set.
Excellent. And perhaps we can close off here by both of you weighing in a little bit here, looking ahead. What are the key catalysts or milestones that investors can look at and anticipate, and what other things would potentially drive value for Transition Metals Corp that you're able to share with the viewers today? Scott, if you want to kick it off.
Sure. Look, so in terms of catalysts, we've got active projects in the field. Results will be coming out of those and should hopefully stimulate the market. If we're able to get a respectable share price, respectable valuation, we would consider potentially doing another financing sometime in the future. But we do need to see at least a closer equivalence of the value of the company to the valuation we get on the market. We may choose, as you know, we have spun out companies in the past. For example, SPC Nickel, which is developing a significant deposit in the Sudbury mining camp, was spun out of Transition Metals. We still own a significant amount of that stock. And Canadian Gold Miner was also spun out, and that has significant projects gold projects throughout the Abitibi in Ontario, and particularly south of Kirkland Lake. So those types of spinouts are really valuable for the company. We are able to take assets, put them outside the company, take back 100% of the equity, and then dilute those subsidiaries without affecting our capital structure. And we hope to be able to put out another spinout, and looking at some of our PGM opportunities in Sudbury, for example, would make some sense. So in terms of near-term catalysts, there's project results, potential spinouts. Canadian Gold Miner, we hope it will go public this year. And if it does, we will be able to mark our shares to market and really put a real value on those, where we own about 15 million shares of that company. We are looking at old projects as well. Some of our stable of projects through this market have come back to us from option partners. And Greg alluded to one really neat idea that we've come up with in the Galganda area. We're really excited about a much larger gold system now that we have much more data to look at. There's projects that have been idle that are some of the best projects in our stable, and we've had permitting problems with a couple of them. We're hopefully seeing an end to some of those permitting problems in certain jurisdictions, and hopefully we'll be able to get those ones back on track. Another thing which will add some value, we hope, is we're looking at strengthening the team. We're looking at new board representation in the near future, we hope, as well as bringing on some more corporate individuals to help us advance our assets. So there's some value to be had in this company. It exists. There's a huge delta, in our opinion, between the value we get on the market and the value of our assets if you add them up. So the sum of the parts is worth a lot more than what we're getting on the market, and we hope that's going to change in the coming months.
Yeah, and like I said, our crews are just coming back from pretty exciting field programs up in the Yukon. We're looking to initiate some drilling this fall out on that Maud Lake project. So in the near term, we're looking to, we have results coming back from the lab, and looking forward to testing that off-hole target. And so there's near-term drivers people should be paying attention to.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Scott and Greg, for your insights today. For more information on Transition Metals, you can come to our website, MiningIR.com, where you can find them as a featured company. And of course, you can go to their website, which you'll see on the ticker across the bottom. You can look further in the markets if you want to at their stock symbols there. And you'll see those across the bottom of the screen as well. And we are looking forward to hearing more from you guys in the near future as your results start pouring in. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks, Alvaro. Yeah.